Well, good morning.
Good morning.
It's a rainy day and all kinds of catastrophes this morning, so we're a little late. Today we're talking about spiritual resilience. And we're using the word spiritual in the broadest possible sense. So there's a spiritual component even to being an atheist. So just reverence for nature is in that definition. So this idea of spiritual resilience and spiritual rootedness, and so this is all part of this month's theme of resilience. And what does it mean to have, some spiritual rootedness or spiritual resilience in life when days don't go quite the way you expected? When you go out into the garage and the dog kennel is full of poop and the dogs have been laying in it, like this morning, or, all kinds of things that happen. So the question becomes, what roots you? What makes you feel connected to something bigger? There's this idea that the earth is one living organism called Gaia or Gaia, depending on who you talk to. And what connects you to that? What connects you to your spiritual life? What connects you to something larger, something more meaningful than just little old me?
We are far bigger than just ourselves.
Yeah. So what connects you when you're really struggling?
I think it's presence. I know I beat this one a lot, but
but it's true.
It's true. Yeah, it's just slowing down and being present. It might be a mantra, it might be a prayer. Sometimes I need those to bring me into the present moment because there's just so much going on that I can't do it on my own. And there's something in asking for help and then being open to receiving that help as well.
Yeah. So, and it's a good practice. Most of us are very, very willing to give help. We're just terrible at receiving help. It's a weakness.
Or
somehow.
asking for help.
Or asking, right. It's a weakness somehow. But you can, and maybe it's the first step to becoming comfortable with asking for help, is to ask yourself for help or to ask your spiritual life for help.
Maybe you don't even know what you need.
Yeah. Well,
so you don't even know how to ask for help. So it's like just asking yourself, what do I need in this moment?
Or just being present in this moment and what you need is already here. Yeah. Because
sometimes the present moment is what you're trying to get away from.
Well, not being present in the present moment is often what we're trying to get away from. Yeah. It feels like it's the present moment that we're trying to get away from, but it's really not being present in the present moment that we're trying to get away from. Because if you were truly deeply present in this flow of now, what's happening is simply happening and we simply deal with it. But it's when we're being tugged apart by 10 different things, having to try to do this thing while this thing is happening and needing to be over here at this particular time when that thing is in the way of doing that, that's what pulls us apart.
Well, I can say as a woman, sometimes the present moment is uncomfortable, and it's okay to remove yourself from where you're at if you're uncomfortable in a situation. So I just wanted to reiterate that, because it's not about always having to be fully engaged with what's with you in the present moment. Sometimes the present moment is uncomfortable, and perhaps you need to find a way to gently remove yourself from either a scenario, a person.
Well, that's obviously true. But that would simply be engaging in a different present moment, right? In other words, there's a subtlety here that we're talking about. And the subtlety is, if there's something happening right now that's extremely unpleasant and you have the ability to change that, you should change that. But sometimes you don't. Sometimes there are things happening in life, like you got to sit down and do your taxes, or you got to deal with a kid who's having a meltdown, or there's things that you just can't walk away from. And in those instances, simply engaging absolutely is the least painful thing to do. On the other hand, if somebody is, if you need to get away from somebody, well, you should be present and willing to get away from them, or away from a burning building, or away from
I was meaning more like maybe an uncomfortable conversation, like nothing that's obviously life-threatening, because that's like, of course you're going to run out of a burning building. You're not going to be like, I'm present with the building. So it's more about like a conversation, or, maybe there are also people in our life that are, that drain us too. And that's okay to know that, if that isn't serving you in the moment, it's okay.
Yes, absolutely. Being in the present moment doesn't mean that you are not powerful. It doesn't mean that you're a mat. It doesn't mean that everything that comes at you is simply what's happening. Being in the present moment means having control over your moment. It means being there and being fully aware so that you can make the most wise and compassionate decisions. And compassion not just for the people around you, but compassion for yourself. Yeah.
And using your voice.
And using your voice. Yeah, that's very important. So, just an idea. What or where do you go, or do you think about, or do you rely on to anchor you when you're feeling unanchored, when you're feeling like life is just happening to you? Where do you go? What do you do? So that's a thought for this week. And then, again, with this broadest idea of spirituality, where do you find your spiritual strength? For me, it's a walk in the woods. I had to transform my walk in the woods this morning from "you damn dogs, where are you?" to "man, it's beautiful out here." And it wasn't entirely simple to do that. And so where do you go? And what do you do to stay grounded, to stay anchored, to stay in a place where you feel like you're present and there's purpose and there's meaning?
Yeah. Sometimes I just have to go to prayer. I just have to take those moments and pray, and things come to me.
Yeah. So sometimes it's stillness, sometimes it's prayer, sometimes it's, I'm fond of saying that a lot of people think they're relaxing by playing a game where people are chasing them around trying to kill them. That's not really relaxing. But sometimes exercise of some kind can be relaxing. There's yin and yang and yang and yin. And it's sort of like the pilgrimage where they go on this 1,000-mile journey or whatever. And even in some traditions, they're crawling on their hands and knees for miles and miles. There's yin in all that yang when you are present with it. So for some people, going for a run, going to the gym, that can be a way to relax. But it needs to be a way to relax, not a way to ignore or forget or distract. So just be present with what you're trying to do to ground yourself and center yourself and be there.
Yeah, so this week just think of a practice. Maybe you already have a practice, and that's great. Maybe it's reminders on utilizing that practice in those moments. Maybe you don't have a practice. And if you don't, I encourage you to find what works for you.
All righty. Well, have a great week, and we will see you next week. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.